so now what we can do is that we can continue working on our course and complete the home feed part of it. So for that purpose, we actually need to make a small change into our fetch user post function before we further move along the course. So we can add a completion. I'm just adding a trailing closure into this function, so it should marked as escaping, and then the result would include post, an array of post, and it would have a return type of void. So that way we have a completion handler here, and now what we can do is that inside here we can have the completion handler as post, and inside of the error we can have a completion handler as an empty array. So this is there. Now let's just see what it's complaining about. So it says, I think this must be it. Expected this, completion handler, post should be like this, and it returns void. So yeah, this seems fine to me. Now what we can do is that just down below we can write our another function, and this would be, let me just check. Okay, so this should be fetching user, let's just correct the spelling, FTCH, fetching user home feed. So the idea behind home feed is that suppose you are a user and you follow two other people, so your home feed should include posts from both those two people as well and you as well. So that includes total 3 people. But suppose you're following like a lot of people, you're following like 10, 15 people, then you don't need to see your own post in the home feed as well, right? Because it's similarly like Instagram. If you're following literally less people, you don't see your own post, rather you see their post. And if you're following like really less people, they're like 2, 3 people, then you only see the post from all these 2, 3 people, including yourself. So for that purpose, let's just start writing our function. So it would be function fetch home feed. So this is there. Let's open parentheses, open the curly braces. Now we can just quickly write a published, this should be capital P, so published var home feed post, which would be of the type post, and it would be an empty array. So this is fine. What we need to do now is to get the user ID. So let's just do guard let current user ID equals auth class, so auth.auth instance, then we have current user dot uid, else we can just return from here. Now what we would do is that we would fetch the users following, so fetch user following, we can pass in the current user ID. Now our following array would be updated by this, so we can do let user IDs, and we can create an array out of it. So we would use the following array, then we would use a compact map on it to remove all the optional values, and then we can just convert that whole database user into an array of user ID. Other than that, we would actually need to include our current user ID in the array as well. So let's wrap this up inside parenthesis. What we can do is that we can add our current user ID as well to this array, and then what we can do is that we can just take the starting 3 people, so prefix with 3, so only the top 3 users will be provided in this. Suppose you have recently followed 5 people, so you would actually get to see posts from them rather than your old followed users. So that is the functionality I'm going for here. Now what we can do is that we can create a local variable here. Let's call it all posts. All posts would actually be of the type post, and the spelling is again wrong. So okay, and then we can have an empty array here. Now what we can do is that we need not to block the main queue for this API call functionality, because we would be looping over and calling fetch user post for all of these users. So let's just create a dispatch group. Basically we can synchronize the fetch user post call that way. So let's do dispatch group, and this is one of the higher end topics that you could either read some articles about, or I would try to include a short video on this as well. explaining this concept up, so that would be helpful for you guys. So you can loop over the array and user IDs basically. And what we can do is that we would write dispatch group dot enter, and now we would just fetch user post for each user ID, and that is what we are going to do here. Fetch user post is there. The user ID would be let's just add something here. We can use this. So user ID caps lock needs to go. We have post in, and for this we can do is that all posts should append, and we should append the contents of post inside our all post variable, and then we can just dispatch group dot leave from here. So this all seems fine. Now inside of here, what we can do is that when all the API calls to fetch posts are being done or completed, what we can do is that we can use our dispatch group and we can notify the main queue. So queue should be main, and we need to execute something here, and basically we will shuffle the post, so that way we see random posts and not some in a perfect order, and just pick like 5-6 posts to show. So we can add 6 here. So this is there. What we would do is that we would use self.homefeedPost equals, let's open an array, and inside here we'll use all post dot shuffled, and we can just take a prefix of like 6 elements from here, and then we can just print out that successfully. Okay, so I was thinking I would not actually show the user with an success alert or something when we fetch the post, because that doesn't really make sense and not a good user experience example. So successfully fetched home feed post. What we can do now is that we can just show we can print them out. So home feed post should go here. Now what we need to do is that we would need to utilize this function, and in order to do so, let's go inside our views, do command N, click SwiftUI and create home feed view. So this must be there. Now let's just work around the home feed view. So what all functionality do we need inside the home feed view? So for that purpose, let's just quickly add observed object variable view model to make the API call, which would be of the type main view model. Then we can have the environment object so that the people can go back from the screen. So this is what I'm doing right now. We would obviously need to add the Z stack. Inside the Z stack, we would have color.black, and then we can have a scroll view, and the scroll view would have a spacer with some height like frame and height of like 70 pixels. Let me just cut this out, paste this here. This seems fine. Let's go inside our explore page so that we can just copy the back button. So we can just copy this thing out from here, paste this here. We can remove the preview panel, we don't need it. Now what we can do is that we can add another spacer, and then we can add a curvy rectangle, and this curvy rectangle would actually just include a frame with a width of 180 pixels and a height of 50 pixels. Alignment is not needed. So I was thinking we should just have a header on our home feed view. So that is what I'm going for here. So the color should be of the type UI color, and it should be maximum yellow. This is fine. Now what we can do is we can add an overlay with a content. So that should be some text which should say home feed. So yeah, this is there. What we can do now is that we can add the foreground style with black. Then we can have font dot custom, fonts dot bold, and the size should be 18, and we can have some padding here. So this is there. Now what we can do, we would start a vertical stack here basically, and the vertical stack will open up. It would have the post view to show. So there should be a for each, which should take in view model dot home feed post. Then we take in the id. It should be post id. This is fine. What we can do now is that here we would have post in, and we can show our post view cell with our post. Yep, that's about it. Can we provide it with some width and height? No, I don't think so we can. So this seems fine. Now after the vertical stack, let's just give it some padding, and inside of here let's just quickly close the scroll view up, add navigation bar button hidden should be true. For Z stack we should have ignore safe area, and we should have an on appear which performs view model dot fetch home feed. So this should fetch our home feed post. Now what we can do is that we can try running, and before that let's just go inside our user profile view. Let's go to our home feed text. This should not be a button, instead a navigation link, and here we would have our home feed view with a view model, and it does not need a presentation mode, so we can just remove this up. And it tells us that we need a completion closure. So what we can do is that instead of this we can add underscore in, because we don't need fetch user post here. And I think it should throw us an error in one more area, and yeah, this is there. So we can do something like this. We don't need to use the closure here. We have the navigation link to our home feed as well now. So let's just quickly see to it. Yeah, so hopefully it should work out. Let's just run the app and see for ourselves. So, and I guess the post should not look actually good, because like we have configured it to show good inside of our profile view, but right now we are showing it all inside a vertical stack sort of a thing inside home feed, where there's much more width to cover, and then they could be enlarged. So the next big step for us would be to actually work on our post view. And okay, it gives us some kind of an error, and it says the user is signed out or something, which is a new kind of error, I would say. I'm not really sure about this, but let's just quickly check that what went wrong. And what we can do here is now let's just try running the app again and see to if it's failing again. What we can do is that, okay, that was weird that it actually threw us some error, but now it's working fine. If we go inside the home feed, it shows us the post like this. Am I not following anyone? I'm not following anyone. So how about I go inside here, I follow gone. So it should just make the API call, and I think it followed the user, but at the same time it did not update it. So that is different. Let's just go inside see your following. I did see gone. We have the unfollowing button here. If I go to explore, I still see the follow button inside the explore page. So that is something to look into. Why is the explore page not showing me the follow button? How about I just quickly check if I have written follow at two different places, but I don't think so I've done that. There should be a general user profile view, and if I go inside the general user profile view, I think I've already added the follow unfollow functionality. So I guess my connections page should land me to the same general user profile view. And this general user profile view, what all API calls am I making through here? So inside here I'm making fetch user data, fetch user post, fetch user following, and check if user follows is being called. And okay, it's weird that the same thing being fetched from this cannot be shown, but okay, let's just go inside our home feed, and now we have four posts. So basically it's mixing and matching up, and this is the Gons post, so this is there. We can take a look into our we can take a look into the the error that we just saw, and also we would need to make this resizable so that it covers up the whole screen. So that is one of the things that we have to take care of. And what else do we need to do? Basically, yeah, this is it for now. So let's just focus on the error first. And we see that if we go via the explore page, and let's just go inside the explore page inside of here as well, we see that we are making these API calls. Basically, explore page can be okay. Explore page is something different. What I believe is that we are making a call await view model dot fetch database users. That seems very fine, but then should we have view model dot fetch user following, and for the user ID we could have um, guardlet user ID, which would be auth dot auth dot current user dot uid, else return. And we can make this optional. We can pass in this user ID, call this again. So this seems a bit weird because okay, auth is not in scope. Then why would it let me write the whole thing? Sometimes Swift complaints are on a totally different level. So we do have the explore page here, and let's just quickly check it with our see your following. We see the person and we see the unfollow on their profile. That seems fine. We go to explore, we go gone. We still see the follow button here, which doesn't seem right to me, because why would it not fetch that if I'm following the user or not? So it gives us the follow button. We follow two, then it still says successfully followed the user. So there seems to be a bug with our follow following feature, which is yet to be discussed. If we go inside home feed, we do see their post and all. So that is there. We go to search your following, then we go inside gone. There we can see the unfollow button. So let's just quickly see what API calls do we have inside our connections page, and we don't have any API calls. So this seems fine. Now, all right. So what we can do here is that we could just go inside our explore page, and let me just quickly check this out via explore page. So we have a follow button that does not change while we are in the explore page. So okay, this does work. This gives us the unfollow thing. Then why does this not do that? How about I just go back, I go here, I go again, we have unfollow here, we unfollow this person from here, should be removed. Go to explore, go to follow button, we do follow, and we still don't get the unfollow button. But here we do have the unfollow button. We unfollow, then we get follow. What about we do follow and we have this functionality? That seems to work fine. Inside our followers gone is here. We still have the feature to unfollow him from here. We should still have the feature to unfollow him from here, but this doesn't seem to be working. So what we can do now is that we could just go inside our general user profile view, go inside our fetch user following. Fetch user following is internally calling fetch user following data. Following is being completed. Then afterwards we call the fetch user following, and this is updated in a dispatch queue, so this could take a few seconds and all. What is happening is that this won't take much time basically. So we could either just not use this entire function, ditch this whole function and use the fetch user following data. Otherwise we can just go back, you can see check if user follows. Check if user follows is again checking that okay, if self is following or not. I mean, we don't even need to use this value anymore because we are not updating it in any way, so this seems fine. But then if we go to our general user profile view, we would need to check for the follow icon basically, and this general user profile view should have a follow button somewhere here which says follow and follow. This is there. Now what I need to do is that we need to check on change of is following. So what we can do is that we can just go back, and the following data, this is being done. So we are also taking user id, so self dot is following equals following. You can just check this whole functionality here, and we could do this. So does that help? And if you're using it here, we don't actually need this fetch user following functionality, although this can fail as well, which is being taken care of on this fetch user following. So that is why I'm keeping it here, but let's just see for ourselves that if it's working or not. So this is there, and let me just quickly see to it that if this thing is working or not. And what I could see is that this is following value is being toggled, and what it does is that it should not be toggled. Instead, how about I just remove it from here, and instead of doing all that inside fetch user following, you can just keep it simple. And now try running this. Once I feel that our is following is being toggled, and then again it gets updated on the on change, so it is being reverted back or something. So let's just see to it how does it look out. And okay, so this is there. We can have the explore page, we can have gone, this is follow, let's do follow, and it still doesn't update. That's weird, but we have unfollow for Kurapika. So this works with Kurapika perfectly fine. I feel like there's something wrong with this user's user ID or something. Have we done some changes here? And just thinking about that, because we got an unfollow from here and this works perfectly fine. So I wonder what's taking it so confusingly long to not make this. Okay, again you could see that the button did not actually update. So yeah, this is there. What we can do is that we can take a look into this. I would have to actually look into the whole code to understand what is going wrong here. So hopefully I figure this out, because this seems to be really broken right now. And if I just follow, I should have the unfollow. This seems to work somewhere and not everywhere, so this is kind of weird. So yeah, and then what we can do is that we can finally see our home feed. So this is fine. We can then rearrange the boxes also to match the perfect size, so they would be dynamic in nature, and thus they can be used both in the profile page as well as the home feed. So yeah, I hope to see in the next video, and I would hopefully find the bug out in our code. Thank you.